Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm the inspirational Andy Murray from WhatCulture. And remember, Baby Shark. Anyway, coming up today, hold my beer, the new wrestling war is here.
Some of it made you smile, some of it made you frown, but I've got an update on Super Showdown.
Everyone's wondering what happened to Kenta. Well, I'm telling you where he went.
From my wages, I pay tax. I've got some details to tell you about the G1 Climax. This is the news.
We're going to throw things right in a loop by talking about someone we don't really talk about a lot these days. She's been very, very quiet over the past few months, not causing any kind of ruckus whatsoever. Sasha Banks.
Right.
She's at it again.
Oh.
Death, taxes, and Sasha Banks going rogue on social media are life's three certainties in 2019, and she's been doing a bit of a Triple H over the weekend, it seems, brothers. So what we have here is, as pointed out by a Reddit user over the weekend, Sasha Banks liked this tweet from Superkick Party at 2 Sweet Mania. It says, "With every passing Raw and SmackDown, I grow less and less interested in the product. I'm starting to realize that I'm supporting a bad word company for its past greatness rather than creating its current bull. I can't even sit through Raw or SmackDown anymore." So Sasha's like this. She hasn't unliked it. If you go onto her Twitter profile and look at her likes, it is still sitting there, this silly, silly, silly decision. And she also tweeted out something yesterday afternoon, perhaps her biggest tease yet. There's a black and white picture of her sitting in a ring, accompanied by the caption, "There was nowhere to go but everywhere." What does it mean?
Cryptic as always. We'll probably see her on Raw tonight after all this.
Yeah, like she's done all this bollocks, she'll end up like in WWE.
I don't get it, like it's really passive aggressive when someone's pissed off at the company. They can't go full Moxley and just rant on a podcast.
Yeah.
So they sort of have to subtly like tweets and send cryptic photos. Look, I get it. It's a tough place to be in, and there's quite a few people in that sort of situation right now with WWE. But with this, it just seems like make a decision. Either announce that you don't want to be there anymore and don't do it, and just do the old Neville frozen out contract sort of thing, or go back. But you can't have it both ways. You can't have, I'll be back in a ring soon, and then, liking tweets that say I hate the company.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, we're not privy to what's going on backstage. We can talk about reports and stuff like we often do about how she reportedly asked for her release over WrestleMania weekend and stuff. But until she comes out and publicly says, I don't want to be here, we're just kind of looking at these little clues and stuff and trying to piece a puzzle together. It's all very, very strange. We've said this before, but I can't imagine WWE would actually let her go. I mean, gee whiz. Like, I spoke about this on the news yesterday. AEW, like we've discussed this in the office, in fact, AEW probably need like a Lex Luger moment. Obviously, on the first episode of Nitro, Lex Luger comes out having crossed over from WWE, released from his contract only a couple of days before.
I think he worked a house show the night before, didn't he?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, they need something like that, and Sasha Banks is probably, like, I'm not saying she's as big a star as Lex was back then. She isn't.
They need someone like that for the women's division, and it would work, but there's no chance WWE are going to let her out of contract.
Yeah, why would they do that?
Right, let's move on to Super Showdown.
Wow.
Something, yes, we're still talking about this week because I genuinely can't get over what happened on Friday.
Yeah, it was,
Anyway, an update from Shagger Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio. Updates us on one of the finishes to one of the matches. It was originally apparently going to be a win for Lars Sullivan over the Lucha House, but of course there was that 3-on-1 handicap match. It was changed to a DQ, as we all saw, where they all just sort of piled in on Lars. But no reason's really been given for this. But it seems weird that they did it. It was such a shonky finish.
Yeah, it was really really odd. So I think like at this stage, WWE just kind of need to decide what the hell they're doing with Lars, because this finish was really bad. Like, it didn't accomplish anything. It didn't keep him protected. Like, he looked like a geek, and yeah, he got his heat back by beating them up afterwards. But it's kind of like, well, why go through the whole point of him getting disqualified if you're going to do that anyway? It was a load of nonsense.
You could have just have him interfere in another match of theirs.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it didn't make him look like a monster. It made him look like a dweeb. So are you going all the way with this guy as a monster, or is he just going to be like a random 50-50 guy? Either way...
My bet's on the second option now.
I think it might be. Like, it probably should be at this stage, because that was his first match on the main roster, and he looked like a twat. You got him at... Why would they do that? Why would they change the finish? Why would they not just have Lars kill these, like, they're jobbers? There's three of them, but they're jobbers. They are.
Lucha House Party need protecting?
Yeah, oh god. I mean, like, all three of them are really good wrestlers.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Like, Gran Metalik is one of the most underrated guys in the whole company. Kalisto's really good. Lindsay is really, really good. But they're jobbers, that's what they are. They're here to get killed by guys like Lars. Why?
If your thought process is, well, we have to make it a DQ to protect Lucha House Party, why have you booked the handicap match? Why wouldn't you be like, right, Kalisto's going to step up and challenge, but he's going to have Gran Metalik thingy in his corner?
WWE, man. Imagine, like, why do we sit here and try and make sense of their booking?
Raw
It's
tonight,
such
though,
a
innit?
fool's errand. Yeah, good. That's going to be great. Can't wait for Tony Bone on Miz TV or whatever the heck they have lined up. We're going to move on. Let's get away from WWE.
Please.
Before it drives me bloody insane, we're going to talk a little bit more about New Japan and All Elite Wrestling. So, since All Elite Wrestling came around, the big talk has been that there's going to be this big wrestling war between WWE and AEW, and there kind of has been nascent signs of that so far, obviously with things like Cody and the Throne. But there may be a bit of tension brewing between AEW and New Japan now because the companies haven't been able to form any kind of working agreement. Obviously, New Japan have that arrangement with Ring of Honor in America, which is a big barrier, and they're not just going to abandon that. They've been loyal to it throughout the year and so forth, and it continues. But now it looks like things are getting a little bit weird. So there was a report in The Observer last week from Shagger Dave saying that AEW currently have no idea as to whether or not they should acknowledge Jon Moxley as an IWGP United States champion when the time comes for him to reappear on their programming. Of course, he faces Joey Janela at Fyter Fest later this month. There is also a report from Japanese wrestling journalist Fumi Saito on his podcast who claims that New Japan specifically told him to avoid mentioning AEW as part of a program that was a promo that was broadcast on their programming. So it's getting a little bit icy there, and even though we've seen things like Chris Jericho, who is contracted to AEW, wrestling Okada at the weekend, and Moxley, of course, is there as well, it's starting to look like there might be a few political promotional things.
Yeah, I think we sort of suggested this may well happen. I think a lot of people just assumed that New Japan and AEW would help each other out to take out the tyrant that is WWE. But at the end of the day, they've got to protect their own. AEW are a brand new company, and it's all well and good being like, oh, it's all right, we'll be pally with these and we'll be pally with these. But there has to be a line drawn somewhere because if and when they have a show on the same day, excluding sort of Royal Quest All Out, because that's kind of slightly different, UK and blah, blah.
Yeah.
But someone's going to have to make a decision. Like, if you had a show on the same day for New Japan and AEW, not only are you going head-to-head for viewing figures, you're also going head-to-head for the talent you can actually book for the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that a relationship would probably be mutually beneficial for both parties, but obviously there are complications with the Ring of Honor thing. I think, like, Ring of Honor hasn't had the best 2019 so far. Perhaps AEW might look at that and things like the Enzo and Big Cass angle in MSG that they weren't consented on and fell apart like a week later when it was announced that they wouldn't be continuing with the company. There's things like that. At the same time, I reckon AEW are probably looking at New Japan and going, you know what, we're probably not going to run shows in Japan like regularly, if ever. In America, given that New Japan's American popularity, a lot of it came from guys like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Well, we've got them now, so maybe we aren't worried about them on American soil. I think that I think that both companies will be absolutely fine if they don't end up working together, don't get me wrong, but it'd be cool to see what they could do together.
I've got the solution to this. WWE versus The Alliance. New owner of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Stephanie McMahon, everybody.
Oh.
Please no, please. I'm joking. Right, continuing on with, WWE and New Japan, I suppose. We should inform everyone about what happened with Jon Moxley at Dominion. What did you think of his match at Dominion?
It was really good fun. It was pretty much what I expected. Shota Umino, this young lion, this plucky upstart, he was always going to lose, but he started off, he knew the grave situation he was in. He started off by diving on Moxley through the ropes, and then he just got the piss kicked out of him. It was perfect.
And then post-match, we had Jon Moxley cut a promo ringside, and then cut another promo backstage whilst carrying Umino.
Yeah, his little pal.
It is well worth going to watch. I've never seen anyone carry the person they've just beat, saying, oh yeah, he's going to be like my driver now, and just beat the crap out of him. And he kept collapsing because he was selling for him, and he was like, have you fallen down again? Anyway, the important takeaway here is Jon Moxley wants in the G1 Climax. He cut a promo, as I said, ringside on the mic. He said he's an international purveyor of violence, a gentleman, and a sick son of a bitch. He wants in the G1. Sign me up for that.
Yeah, really, really good little promo. And for for me, he's kind of got to be in there.
Yeah.
Like, they don't, like, Kenny's not there this year, Hangman Page. Tamatonga, I don't think is going to be in it. He's taking indie dates around about that time.
No great loss.
No, he's a goober. But no, Moxley, like, especially after the strength of that Juice Robinson match, I just want to see him go up against the biggest and the best. I want to see what he can do with Okada, with Kota Ibushi, with Minoru Suzuki, with Tetsuya Naito, with Shingo Takagi, who's going to be in this damn thing. I just think it would be so much fun to see him in there. So fingers crossed they actually put him in there, and he has some absolutely banger matches this summer. But do you want to know who else is in the G1 Climax?
Who's that?
Who is it? It's a little fella you might remember from WWE, the former Hideo Itami, KENTA. He's back in Japan. He debuted for New Japan at Dominion this weekend. So what happened? There was a segment, Katsuyori Shibata, obviously, who had to retire after suffering some really, really severe head trauma and a brain injury that may have killed him. He came out, always emotional when he comes out, giving his story. His music hit, and then he gets halfway down the ramp, he points up, obviously introducing someone new, and out comes KENTA, cuts a promo announcing that he will be in the G1 Climax. So this is a very interesting signing for several reasons. KENTA was, for the longest time, he was effectively the ace in Pro Wrestling Noah. During some very hard times for that promotion, particularly after the passing of Misawa, he was one of the few reasons you would pay attention. The brand was flagging, he was there, bro. He was having banger matches with the likes of Naomichi Marufuji, killing the game, doing a really grand job. He's been forever associated with that brand. But he came back to New Japan, not Noah, and this has caused some real online debate because loyalty in Japanese promotions is a very big thing. Now, from a Western fan's perspective, he is obviously coming off quite a disappointing WWE run. Didn't work out there for a number of reasons. He was injured quite a lot. He was severely hindered as to what he could do in the ring. This guy was an aggressive, badass ass kicker in Japan. Couldn't do any of his stuff in WWE because CM Punk did the go to sleep. He got to do it towards the end. Daniel Bryan stole his Busaiku knee kick and his stiff kicks to the chest and so forth. He was really, really hindered. It was never a good marriage. He's obviously 38. He's beaten up a little bit. But I'm really interested to see what he can do, to see if he still has it. And I know he'll be very, very desperate to prove himself.
Yeah, I'm excited. We were all excited once he announced he was leaving WWE for him to have this fresh start. And it's the perfect place for him to go, I think. And I can't wait to see what he does as well.
Yeah, it's going to be banging.
Best of luck to him. Right, let's move on to today's Twitter questions. Don't forget you can send them to us at WhatCulture WWE. Drew Call says, now that we are 6 months into 2019, which WWE talent has had the most disappointing year? Drew thinks it's Drew McIntyre. I mean.
Yeah, 100%, completely agree. He's been relegated to a role of a lackey. All that stuff with Dolph Ziggler when their partnership broke up towards the end of last year was very disappointing because it just kind of made him look like a guy. And it looked like perhaps maybe we had the turning point with that Kurt Angle match. Like it was a little bit wonky and it wasn't particularly well executed, but I thought it was an effective way to pass the torch and say, hey, Drew's going to be a guy again. But he's not even having great matches at the moment. It's really disappointing.
I think they can salvage it. I think he's
so.
done the right thing. Like after January, after the Royal Rumble, we were like, oh no, he's in a real spot here. So we pitched him potentially towards the end of last year to be in and around a major WrestleMania main event or something. But I think he can salvage it with this role, but he's probably just going to get fed to Roman Reigns at Stomping Grounds.
Yeah, I've got another one. Real quick, Braun Strowman. It's not his fault, but he's just a guy now, and it's a shame. Most
impressive year, it is obvious, to be perfectly honest. Baron Corbin. Alexander Hughes gives us our second question of the day. He says, after Don Callis referred to Taichi taking his trousers off as the most electrifying move in wrestling today, what do you think is the most electrifying move out there? Beat that.
I love Don Callis so much.
Such a boy.
Baron Corbin running around the ring post and coming in and doing a crap clothesline. What is the most electrifying move? You know what, I'm going to sound like I'm doing a gimmick, but Baron has some really fun stuff. The Deep Six is great. The what the hell's his finisher called again?
End of Days.
End of Days, phenomenal stuff. But I think like as far as a big boy-popping move goes, I really like the Tetsuya Naito's move. I mean, I've got the t-shirt on, so I'm a little bit biased, but it's like the rotation, it looks really cool.
Yeah, I still pop for the RKO. Every time. Yeah. Every single time.
It's immortal.
Final question today comes from, I really hope I get your name right, Drea Di Catdancio. That's what I'm going to go with, and I'm sticking with it. Would WWE benefit from trading wrestlers like a real sports team and letting companies buy out contracts rather than freeze performers like Harper or Sasha for the duration, or are they more hurt by legitimizing competition that way?
I think they would see the latter there. They would think, well, we're not going to acknowledge these little goober companies except in the odd little shots because they think that...
Owned by billionaires.
Because they're just not going to do that. No, I think, like as we discussed earlier on, they're not going to let anyone go anywhere. They certainly don't need the money, so buying out contracts wouldn't be so appealing to them because they don't need it. They're like invincible money-wise at the moment. And I think that they'd be very reluctant to let wrestlers go elsewhere where they could be potential assets. Now, the counter-argument to that is that they are creating a toxic backstage atmosphere, and I completely agree by hanging on to all these people who don't want to be there and treating them like crap, but that's not the way they think.
Yeah, in answer to your question, yes, it would be better for WWE to do that. It'd be better for the whole industry to be able to just switch between stuff, because look at how excited we get when 1 or 2 people go, whereas when you go, it's kind of get a bit stale with X in this company. If they could just go, oh, no, go here, completely refresh my character, it would be great, but there's no chance in hell of it ever happening.
Never, ever.
Right, let's move on to today's and finally.
We got 2 of them today.
You've got one for me as well.
I've got one for you, mate. It's an absolute delight. So, one of the guys we like to talk about a lot on this channel, just because we like saying his name in a funny voice, is... Cesaro. Well, why don't you push Cesaro? It just sounds kind of cool. We don't actually dislike. I love Cesaro.
I love him. Fantastic.
Somebody went kind of like looking around his old MySpace page over the weekend. Don't worry, it's not a Lars Sullivan thing. He's not out here like shredding minorities and just being disgusting. He's just being kind of weird. So this was pointed to my attention by, and I apologize if I say your name wrong, at Saijbion on Twitter.
Right.
Have a look at this gem that Cesaro...
What is that?
Number 1.
Wow.
Let's dissect this a little bit.
Number 1, right to
censor
there?
He's dressed as right to censor Ida Bull Buchanan. Number 2, he's photoshopped himself into China, I think. And number 3,
more importantly,
he's with Britney Spears.
Congratulations to Cesaro. Let me just look at this, the way he's...
Look at that.
Whose hand's that then?
Oh my God.
I don't think I can beat that, but that is fantastic.
It's wonderful.
Mine is very, very, very simple, and you've probably seen it in the rounds on Reddit Squared Circle today. It simply is Andy Murray, New Jack in a kayak. If you have any other photos of wrestlers doing things that rhyme with their names, send them to me immediately, because that popped me big.
Woo.
There might be another New Jack photo if you're really good for you tomorrow. Someone's tried to outdo New Jack in a kayak.
I might have seen that.
Yeah. Let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you can send us Twitter questions at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow him at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Hollywood.
You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. As I said, you can follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. My thanks to Andy Murray, thanks to New Jack, and thank you for watching. We will see you soon. Please don't hurt me, New Jack.